obviously, if all of us are here, then all of us have souls, right? So when the idea was first being presented to me when I was like 13 and 14, that maybe they didn't, or emphatically they didn't, I was like, no, because what we learn when we're very little really impacts us how we grow. So do animals have souls? Do children? I mean, what does it mean to have a soul? Anyway, what does that mean? I mean, when ships or airplanes crash or are lost, they count the people aboard using the phrase, X number of souls were lost. And that is the correct language. X number of souls. Instead of persons. I mean, and some will tell you it was a way of adding passengers and crew, because they had met different manifests. So they would say X number of souls. But it's a little more complicated than that. For some ships, the people were cargo. And some, they were simply the unconverted. So if you were considered unconverted, you had a soul. If you were considered unconvertible, because you were an animal, you did not. The first nautical usage dates to 1390. A week ago Friday, I was in Homestead at a vigil with people that were here. Part of the Lights of Liberty vigil in front of a fence that surrounds a great big white tent, white windowless tents. I'm sure everybody here has seen the pictures and heard of them. They've been privately contracted to hold 2,350 children. That's what the contract reads. Estimates are there about 2,500 right now, but there's no way for us to know. 2,500 young souls separated from family, survivors of trauma already. We held candles and lit candles that they couldn't see. We sang This Little Light of Mine. All over 800 sites sang This Little Light of Mine. And we cried. People are holding their vigil still. Tonight. Could they hear our singing? Could their souls? So this sermon is about those unseen powers, both holy and man-made, that influence our lives. Long ago I worked at the ASPCA when it was not only a national animal welfare organization, but it was the local shelter. It was the municipal shelter for the tri-county area that makes up New York City. And I was the evaluator of one of many, but I was an evaluator of shelter intake. And so I noticed when I was evaluating the cats, there were a significant number of cats that were owner surrendered. And of those that were owner surrendered, there was a significant number that were turned in because the owners were pregnant. And I was like, what? Pregnant? What's that? Why is that a reason? I mean, I had been accustomed by that time to the instant sudden onset of allergies, mostly from a cat who was peeing on a pillow, and of people having to move. Not that I'm agreeing with these things, but I had grown up with women giving birth to many babies, in close proximity to cats giving birth with too many babies. I mean, sometimes in barns, yes, but really? Pregnancy is a reason to give up your cat? Why were women giving up their cats? So I had to go discover. I really wanted to know. And some of you may already know part of this answer. I think you know. Toxoplasmosis. Right. Caused by a protozoan parasite that can infect the fetus, cause blindness and permanent brain disabilities. Cats get it from eating wild infected prey, pooping, and having the bacterial oocysts gestate in the feces for 1 to 5 days. How many New York City apartment cats do you think are at risk for toxoplasmosis? Just a hypothetical question, mind you. Not to mention that if you scoop your poop twice a day, you pretty much handle the situation, and wash your hands. I spoke about that earlier. So, the second infectious idea is that a cat might smother the infant. The rationale went like this. Cat smells the milk on a baby's breath, cuddles up to them in the crib, and unwittingly, by accident, smothers the baby. It was considered one of the reasons for SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. We now know that improper sleeping, positions, and conditions are the #1 reason for what we used to label SIDS, which isn't to say that real SIDS does not exist, and it's tragic, and it does. But it is not in the numbers that we used to think of. Comforters, pillows, soft mattresses, intoxication, adult humans. Those are the causes of SIDS. Hence the back to sleep movement. You put the baby on their back to sleep. You do not swaddle. You swaddle them, but you don't cuddle them up with pillows. They've been incredibly successful, and those numbers have dropped. And I could not find any cases, not a single one, anywhere I looked, of a cat smothering a baby anywhere in the world that I could find. Even 30 years later, when I'm doing this sermon, I wanted to say, well, let's see. Because, yet, do cats steal babies' breath is still a top Google search for young pregnant mothers with cats. And there's absolutely no, like, why? I mean, why? Why would a cat smother a baby anyway? I mean, you live with cats? You have cats. Yeah, I mean, really? Well, to steal its soul, of course. What? Because behavior and beliefs, they're tricky things. We are highly evolved believers. Say that again. We are highly evolved believers. We build our present on unseen or forgotten pasts, on habits of generations, of systems put into place so long ago we no longer even see the system. Or maybe the system that was put in place has now disappeared to the ravages of time. Things we once knew as true, even if we think we know otherwise, still impact us. They become this intricate lace of our collective past. They become the curtain that filters out our ability to see the light. And every single one of us is susceptible because we are all human. In Genesis 1:7, the Lord formed man from the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. In Genesis 1:20, usually translated as, and God said, let the water teem with living creatures. But the literal translation of Nefesh Hayai is not creatures, but living souls. So it's more accurately, and God said, let the water teem with living souls. And for anybody that's a fan of evolution, oh wait, can you be a fan of evolution or you just evolve? I don't know. But the point is that we came out of water. And even if you don't go there, we're certainly in water in the womb. Teeming with living souls. Genesis 7:15, pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. So once man believed the soul lived on the breath, no life. The soul, the life force has left, moved on, integrate. Even now, that is how you determine whether someone is alive or not. Are they breathing? And then after are they breathing, is their heart beating? Because the heart, you think, oh, it's separate. The heart is beating oxygen into the areas that need it. It's not, is the heart beating a sign of life? That is still connected to, we have to be aerated, we have to have breath. This simple formula is found in sacred texts all over the world. Breath is life. In the European Middle Ages, time of the Inquisition, the eradication of local, natural, earth-based faiths was actively going on. Fears of evil were being fomented to keep power structures in place. How long ago was that? Sorry, I digress. Cats were the familiars of witches, it was deemed. Or perhaps they were demons themselves. So if a soul and a breath are one, and a baby's breath does smell like milk, and there's no central heating, where might a good cow's cat sleep when it's not out mousing? In the cradle. The evidence was clear. The cat was seen sleeping at the end of the cradle. The cat was gone. The baby was dead. Clearly the cat had stolen the baby's soul. How could you think otherwise? So then you would kill the cat to free the soul. And if you didn't know which cat it was, then you would have to have mass cat killings, which were festivals. And you can look for those up. Which morphed into the medical entry in January 25th, 1791. Quote, a child of 18 months old was found dead near Plymouth. It appeared on the coroner's inquest that the child died in consequence of a cat sucking its breath, thereby occasioning a strangulation. So suddenly now what we have is the science entering into this, occasioning a strangulation. Fast forward, you will still find today some OBGYNs positing that a cat might smother a baby, despite no evidence that that's ever occurred. It could happen. How and why? So whether you believe in the existence of a soul or not, old beliefs have shaped and continue to shape your world and my world and the world that we share. So what is the soul anyway? Is it simply our breath, or is it something more? I mean, for some, a soul is a synonym for a physical person in general, like souls. All souls, we're here at all souls, which may be both. Or it's an individualized person, that poor soul. But we also use it to mean something sacred, a quality beyond the physical, something intangible, something sometimes eternal. Children can realize that this is not this. Something is no longer there. What is that? Where did Emerald the Fall go? We have translations, definitions, and ideas for souls. We have fights over them, theological debates over them, but really there's a bigger issue. As so often happens when we get into the trenches to fight about the minutiae, we're forgetting to pay attention to what's really important, and that is who gets to have a soul. Who gets to have one? Aristotle argued that slavery was a natural state for humans and that slaves, like domestic animals, had incomplete souls that required superior ones to govern them. Wild animals apparently were soulless. Plato concurred, right, and thought it right that superior rational men, only men, right, superior rational men, rule over the inferior, be they man or beast. In the Third Nicene Council, first notable, most of you know about the First Nicene Council, gave us the Trinity. We kind of forget about there's a bunch of other ones. Well, in the third one, it was decided that animals did not have any souls. The question of slaves was a bit trickier. They depended on when they became slaves, and the debate roared over whether women had souls at all. It was decided that we did have souls. By only one vote, after a long debate, at which point it was decided that upon death, before entering into paradise, our female souls transmute into male souls to gain entrance into heaven. That, by the way, is still canon.
Wow. Wow. Can't take it with you.
So heaven is a place with only men and no animals. We create the heaven of our understanding. I'm just going to sort of leave that there. Thomas Aquinas apparently said that boys receive their souls at birth. Girls get them 28 days later. Which does throw a bit of wrench into the whole pro-life arguments. Yeah, it does. But who reads the fine print these days anyway? And then there's that whole breath of life stuff, like if the breath of life is the soul, but you know. In the 1700s, the question of whether or not Africans had souls. Many whites believed that they, like, quote, livestock, either had no eternal soul, or an incomplete soul, or merely a material soul. Canon for many churches now is that animals, i.e. non-human animals, only have material souls, not eternal souls. Abolitionists pushed hard on the idea that persons, all persons, regardless of origin or color, had souls. It gained traction. It took off like wildfire. An argument helped significantly with the effort to ban slavery, first in England, and then here, causing the opposition to admit that, well, okay, they have souls, but, they're more animal than human. But no, wait, okay, so that's not going to work either. Instead, you know what? The Bible supports the idea of slavery. It does, yes. Slaves are part of God's natural order, and so that's where they had to go. We are still seeing shadows of that idea everywhere we look. Everywhere we look. What is a slave? What is a slave?
Well, these are customary.
A voiceless prisoner. A slave is someone that has no voice and no ability to be a change agent in their life. Legally, morally, spiritually. I don't want to make light of this, because all of us have parts where we feel we have no voice, but have access to gaining a voice. And all of us have been in some places where we were the person that took away someone's voice. Who gets to have a soul was and is a political event. The false boundary that has been made between who is an animal and who is a human has long been a core element in the treatment of ethical treatment of animals. It's one of the banner cries of the animal rights movement. I'm going to argue differently. I'm going to argue that it's been the defining element in how we treat humans, and that the other is a distraction. Even the phrase human-animal bond smacks of our separateness, denying our animal selves and denying the souls of all. Because we are raised in a Judeo-Christian centered culture, I've chosen the bulk of the sermon to focus on Western Christian events and theologies, because that's the soup that we swim in. But I think it's really sort of important to kind of look at all the sacred texts, and all the sacred texts around the world proclaim the unity over and over and over again in their creation stories all the way through the advanced texts. From the beginning we are sung into being, we are created with the Word, we are created from and by breath in some way. If you breathe, you have life. If you breathe, you have a soul. Breath is life. Spirit is the breath of God. And God is just a nickname. Be it the ancient Vedic texts, the Torahs, the Bibles, the Quran's account of Genesis, countless fables. It isn't until later power structures, that we find theologies of division in paradise. Who gets in, when, where, what level. Lines are drawn. Who gets into heaven? Who gets to remain in the hell? Even if it's a hell of their own understanding. Descartes connected the soul with having emotions and feelings. That was how he started drawing his lines. So in order to have a soul, you had to have emotions and feelings. Adding a scientific flavor to the unholy division that we're still struggling with today, while at the same time he shared his life with his little white dog that he loved by all his accounts. He staked other dogs while still alive to be able to dissect them and watch them. And he declared that animals had neither feeling nor emotions, even though he was loved by a little white dog. Individual souls are apparently the property of those with brain receptors and emotions. Early scientists declared that infants and animals lack both. It's only been recently, very recently, that we have given infants the right to feel their pain surgically, emotionally. Our early stories filter into our world. It's up to us to do these rewrites. What does it mean to have a soul? It means you have the breath of life. And if it means you have the breath of life, then animals and infants have souls. If it means you get to go to heaven, then animals have souls. Revelations 19:11, Jesus rides a white horse. And I think even the most literalist among you will agree that a horse is an animal. You cannot deny that. If it means you feel physically, emotionally, then even the simplest of beings qualify. In a last-ditch effort of keeping humans separate from animals, science, along with various philosophers and more than a few theologians, have dug deep into the issues of consciousness and self-awareness. We are the self-conscious animal. We're better at being aware. We're more mindful. Yeah. But with parrots naming their offspring, and they do in the wild, and gorillas making individual requests in the lab, that too is a fence that is falling. What would it mean if we could simply be the human animal? Each of us unique, each of us special, each of us human, just like every unique and special being on this big, wide world that we live in. part of a whole community of sacred souls sitting within a sacred soul. What does it really mean to have a soul? I have an idea that we are the animal that has separated ourselves from the soul of God, however you define it. Perhaps that was the sin of original sin, to miss the mark, to be separated from the center. Perhaps other animals never separated like the way we did. All religions come out of our first spiritual impulses of longing and belonging. All of them. All of the relationships so neatly defined by the first and the seventh principles, the ultimate individuality of every being, and the connectivity of everything. What does it mean to have a soul? Ecclesiastes 3:19 states, "For the fate of the sons of men and the fate of the beasts is the same. As one dies, so does the other. They all have the same breath. And man has no advantage over the beasts, for all is vanity." You thought that was only cheap Seattle. Jay McDaniel changed my life in 1989 with the book of God and Pelicans. He writes in an article called "Practicing the Presence of God, a Christian Approach to Animals," quote, "Looking into the eyes of an animal, we may be aware that there is something sacred and holy, something divine in the animal. Something divine in the animal. God's Spirit is in her, shining through her. Even as she is more than spirit, it is as she is a holy icon, a stained glass window through which holy light shines." And any of you who have ever caught the eye of a bird, stared deeply into the eyes of your dog, caught your cat looking at you, we've seen that moment where you have that connection of something that is greater than you are. The light of love shines through many windows. Sometimes the curtains are feathered, sometimes they're furred, sometimes they're scaled, sometimes they're... Connection is the core of compassion, the root of all spirituality, the seeds of every faith. Michael Jarre writes in the blog Humans and Nature, quote, "In the end, soul may be a profound matter of fellow feeling. The stronger the capability of a given species for a fellow feeling, the more that species can be said to exhibit soul fullness. To view things this way offers another important step in humanity's progression towards understanding its place in creation and appreciate the inheritance we hold in common with all sentient beings on this increasingly small, restive, and fragile planet." What does it mean to have a soul? It means you are worthy of being saved. That's the shorthand. It means you are worthy of being saved. No matter your age, your color, your ethnicity, your nationality, your religion, your gender, your legal status, your sexual affectional orientation, or your species. And we all need saving some days. Almost every week I get some variation of, "Will my cat be with me in heaven? Because if it's not, I don't want to go. I don't want to go either." Some cases that's, "I could just die now." Or, "Reverend Teal, do dogs go to heaven?" So the short answer is yes. Yes. I believe they're already there. The rest is up to us. Do dogs go to heaven? Yes. Are you? How do we create the heaven of our understanding? And what does it mean to have a soul? And what are you going to go out and say today? Thank you. Namaste. The soul in me recognizes and honors the soul in you.
Namaste.
I love you.